Mic check 1 2 1 2. All right, so boom. I have a story to tell that I think will be really helpful for people. It's like a realization that I'm still processing. But for the past few months, I've been having discomfort in my lower abdominal area. So, right side, I felt like it was just a little too low to be my intestines, but then a little too high to be my ovaries. But it's been nagging me for some time, and particularly the past few weeks, I will have these days where it's like I'll wake up in the middle of the night, 3:30, like clockwork, feeling the sensation that I had to use the bathroom. And when I get up, I could barely stand up because I'm like bent over because I'm feeling so much pain in that area. And this is also aligned with when I started to do this liver cleanse, or not cleanse, but just working on like supporting my liver. So I'm doing this like liver recharge herb and blood builder herb that I got from Lily Cho. Shout out to Lily Cho, acupuncturist and herbalist. So I've been doing that. And essentially the other things that I've done to try to figure out like what is going on, I mentioned it when I got my annual and requested some imaging, because last year, well, 2024, I found that I had 3 fibroids. I had one on the right side of my uterus, one on the left side of my uterus. Both of those were pedunculated, which means they were on a stalk, like a mushroom cap. And then I had another one on the left side, but it was like anterior, and it was pretty small, but it was like sort of in the back of my uterus, and it was submucosal. I don't know, the one that's like in the lining. It was not inside the uterus. So fast forward, I spent, the year in advance of this imaging that I recently got, doing the work to like get rid of those fibroids, or like support them the best way I can. It's like energy work, acupuncture, herbs, and all that stuff. So now I get the imaging about a year to the date that I found out I had the fibroids. And when the imaging came, we did pelvic ultrasound. I don't know if I said that. So when I got the imaging back, I've learned that the fibroid that was on the right side was gone. The fibroid that was on the left side, that was pedunculated, significantly shrunk down to like the size of a marble. And then the one that was anterior also like shrunk completely down. So yeah, so that was good news, and affirmation to just continue that, what I've been doing to get the other ones completely gone. So it wasn't that discomfort isn't coming from the fibroids, because one, it's way too small, and 2, it's not actually in the positioning of where I was feeling the pain. And then I got a colonoscopy because I already needed to get a colonoscopy. I kept putting it off, but again, like I said, it was feeling like it could potentially be intestinal. So I did the colonoscopy. Colonoscopy came back completely clear, unremarkable. And the doctor even was like, oh, I went in and looked at your small intestine as well, like everything looks good. So I'm like, so what about, this sensation that I'm feeling? I'm feeling like it's like ileocecal. That was the other thing too. I'm like, it could be something that I'm eating, which is what the doctor said. He's like, well, it could be something that you're eating that's irritating the area, or it could be like endometriosis. And I'm like, all right, we're not gonna just throw things out there because I don't have endometriosis. Okay, so now fast forward. I go to a medical qigong with Dr. Mark, and Dr. Mark is my personal hero. A naturopath, doctor, acupuncturist, all the things. I've been working with Dr. Mark for years and have been and will always be a student of Dr. Mark. So go down for medical qigong, which is probably a whole nother story time in and of itself, because we learn so much good information. But as a part of like our practicum towards the end of the day, we all got to get on the table and like work on each other. And so we were split into groups, and you get on the table when you say the thing or the area that's bothering you, and then the practitioners will, utilizing what we learned throughout the day, will treat the area. And so 2 things that's really important, and really the purpose of me even sharing this. Someone was on the table, and one of our practitioners, who's also a naturopath doctor, said, well, if you're having this pain and it's not showing up in the imaging, it's emotional. So hold that, because that's the whole point of this. So she says that, and so now fast forward, I'm on the table, face up, and the practitioners are working on me. And again, they said, my area that I was working on was my iliocecal valves, because that's what I'm assuming is, the area that has been causing me discomfort. So they're working on me, and Dr. Mark introduces this concept of invisible needle, and that is when we as practitioners place energetically an invisible needle in the acupuncture points or areas that are associated with where, the person said that they were having pain or discomfort. So they're inserting these energetic invisible needles, and Dr. Mark makes the recommendation to place a needle in my heart, and I start to cry. And not just cry, not like a little cute cry, sobbing, like couldn't catch my breath, to the point where Dr. Mark had the whole rest of the class like, oh, just to like drown out, and I guess to have me feel more comfortable in being able to like emote. He's like, you're having a release, just like let it out. And so yeah, I'm like sobbing, can't catch my breath, and being comforted and held, and just a mess, but like for good cause, And so we then have a chance to share afterwards, and I'm like, earlier in the day, Dr. Mark has shared about a blow to the female ego, which I don't know if you all know, the metaphysical meaning behind fibroids is a blow to the female's ego. And so that comes up, and so while I'm there on the table, and when I have this huge release, I'm like, all of this pain that I have been feeling was this energetic emotional blockage rooting from a blow to the female ego. It was my inability to digest rejection. Like, I just felt like I was getting hit left and right with rejection that felt like deeply hurtful and emotional for me and for my female ego. And so that is where that pain was stemming from. And after we got to the root of it, the needles went into the places, and the release happened in the form of sobbing and tears. I have not had pain in that area since then. Like, none. I can press at it and prod and everything, and nothing there. I've like last night, for instance, I woke up at 4 something, needing to hydrate, needing to use the bathroom, but that pain and that heaviness was not there. And it's been about a week to the date. So yeah, I'm like, this is like a moment that this is the part that I'm like piecing together. So going back to what I said to hold, which was, if it's not showing up on the imaging, it's because it's emotional. And so often, and I'm just like thinking for myself, but I know just from, people around, conversations that we have, the way that we were like trained to deal with this physical body, and when there's like ailments or discomforts in the body, we go to get the imaging and things like that, and when something doesn't show up, we're left feeling like, oh, they, I'm making it up in my head or whatever. But the thing is, it's not showing up because it isn't there yet in the physical body. But this physical 3D is the last layer of our actual body, because there's a spiritual body, there's a mental body, there's an emotional body, there's an etheric body. There's all these bodies before we get to the full denseness of this 3D experience, which means that for something to show up on imaging, that will be the very last manifestation of such thing. And so in my case, and I'm even thinking about when the doctor was like, oh, it could be endometriosis, and I'm like, see, this is where y'all lose me, when y'all just start making stuff up. But it's not that he was totally wrong, because it could have over time developed into endometriosis. It could have over time developed into a fibroid. It just wasn't there yet because it was at my emotional body. So when we got to the root of what I was experiencing emotionally, and I had the release, it was done, right? There's no need for this to then manifest itself any further. It's no need for it to ever show up on imaging, because we got to the root and to the source of it and healed it. And so it's done. And so I'm like, how often are we, because I'm also thinking about when I had Lyme disease and how long it took for a diagnosis, right? And all the times I was left feeling like, am I making this up in my head? And it's like, essentially, yes. Yes, because it was happening mentally in my head. I was having the experiences, and emotionally, I was having the experiences long before it showed up in the physical. And so, all I'm saying is, and this is my aha moment, is when it comes to treating and really caring for this body, this vessel, there's so many modalities. And there's so many ways to get to the root of a thing before it actually manifests into a thing, if we really pay attention and notice things. Because I'm of the belief that everything starts spiritually. Everything starts and ends in the spirit body, right? And so if there is some sort of like soul dismemberment, some type of like, there was a soul calling that you're not following, or there's something going on a soul level, is probably going to be the start of dis-ease or discomfort in the body. And then it may manifest itself mentally. And there's modalities, so many modalities, but like, therapy, there are ways to get through or get to the root of it mentally, and then it'll begin to manifest itself emotionally. And that's when you want to do the acupuncture and these sorts of things. And then once it's etheric and it's in the aura, honestly, sometimes I believe that when it's etheric, it will show up on labs. So for instance, if there's some tears in the aura, as women, if we're always over giving, your labs will probably show an iron deficiency or like some sort of like low blood, And so you might not know the root cause of it yet, but etherically it'll show up there. So that's all. I'm going to leave it there for now. I'm going to dive back into this. I'm going to talk more about this because I just feel like I really want to talk about this as much as I can and share it with as many people as I can, because it was such a aha moment for me. And really that we don't have to suffer and be in pain and discomfort if we're willing to do the work to find which body does this live in and what do I need to get to the root of it. Which is why also I will always give Dr. Mark his praise, and I'm so grateful for him, is because he taught us in training a while back when we're working, as practitioners, when we're working with someone, to figure out before we even get into offering any sort of remedy or energy, is to find out where exactly does this ailment or this discomfort exist. Is it physical? Is it mental? Is it emotional? Is it ancestral? Because otherwise, you're just shooting in the dark. You're just throwing things out. Kind of like when the doctor was like, well, maybe it's this. And you figure out which body it is, then you can actually use the modalities to treat the root of that. And then you could nip that in the bud before it's ever on an image. That's all I got.